We're glad you're with us. This is the Retirement Education Hour, and it's always great to be in the studio with financial instructors Kirk Cassidy and Dr. Paul Metler. And boy, do we have a great show for you today. So we're glad you're along for the ride. We talk about retirement planning on the program. And, this program really is designed to help you establish more confidence as you think about your retirement future. You've worked so hard. And it's brought to you by the Retirement Education Foundation. This is a nonprofit. The mission is all about educating you about retirement planning, and they go even further than the show. You walk away with a lot of great information when you listen, but they also invite you to their courses. These are like master's level courses on retirement planning. They're held at major colleges and universities near you. We'll be sharing all of those details and how you can register so we can see you there and you can meet instructors just like Kirk and Paul and all of the other folks there at the foundation. So we're going to dive in here today. I want to give the website, retirementplanningedu.org, the phone number 800-240-8981. But we're going to start with a topic that, well, I know it's near and dear to Kirk and Paul's heart. This is a topic, at least back in school, I didn't love, but I've come to appreciate. And when it comes to retirement planning, it's really about the math. In fact, the two of you say math drives everything.
So we have the charity has, I mean, it's sort of the theme. If you attend one of our 8 hour, where they're like master level courses that we're teaching in the universities and colleges in your area, or if you follow us on our charity's website or any of our podcasts and our radio shows, one of the themes that drives everything is it's not opinions. It's not how you feel. It's not how your advisors feel. It's not how the people writing books and articles feel. Everything is driven based upon your plan. Your plan should drive every decision you make. So at the end of the day, what we're saying, Paul, is the math. The math drives everything. And part of the challenge, and part of the reason our class is 8 hours, and the reason we do these radio shows is people really don't understand the right math. They're not doing the right math at all. The math will determine when you should take Social Security. The math will tell you how you should invest. Your asset allocation should be driven based upon when you're spending um, what you need to give you what you want. It's all met. Taxes, Roth conversions, everything, surviving spot. It is a comprehensive, what is overutilized, holistic plan that everyone says they have, that none of you really have, and very few advisors in the country really provide. But the plan, a 30-year plan, will tell you what you should be doing right now, making what decisions on whether you should pay off your home or not, when you should retire. The math drives everything, and we're going to highlight that today. It's incredible. You're going to learn a lot of information today. You guys aren't doing the right maths on your pensions, your lump sums, none of it. You're not doing the right math. We're going to give you some of the formulas and variables that you should be including in the math, Paul.
No, math does drive everything. I think part of the challenge is that, retirement planning, there's a lot of emotion when it comes to retirement, right? I think there's a lot of feelings that people have when they talk about retirement. For the average person who's retiring, in their mind, it has nothing to do with the math. It has to do with so many other things. And what often happens is their own emotions and fears and anxieties and worries about dying and all, quitting their job, all those things get they get pulled into the retirement plan, and they think, well, retirement planning is all about emotion. No, retirement planning has nothing to do with how you feel. It has nothing to do with any relationships you have with people. It's all really about numbers.
It is. And the frustrating, Paul, is because people don't understand the math and our industry don't truly apply the math. Please, we're a charity. Trust us. You come to our class, you'll learn this. But they're not applying the right math. And there's an incentive not to apply the right math. The incentive is it's less work for people in the financial service industry that are helping you. The people at home, they don't know the math. Some of the people in our industry do know the math. And the reality is the less you spend, the more they make. So why are they going to figure out the math so that you'll retire earlier, while you'll spend more? Why would they teach you the math of when you should take Social Security? Because if you take Social Security earlier, they make more money because your money stays and grows. It's a math problem. That's why you need to attend one of the charity's 8 hour courses we're teaching at major universities and colleges in your area. We also stream them live around the country If you'd like to attend, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
You know, Megan said something in the beginning, and I don't think she realized that what she said really has a lot to do with the issue, which is there's a lot of anxiety around math for people. A lot of people struggle and have a lot of fear around numbers. They don't feel confident in them. I think when people start, they have bad memories of their algebra class in high school, right? A lot of people have anxiety. So when, someone sits down with you and starts talking about numbers, for a lot of people, that's overwhelming. They don't want to look at it. They don't want to think about it, right? So it's so much easier for your advisor to have a relationship with you, to be nice to you, be kind and loving and care about you and build that relationship. And the retirement plan is founded on that relationship. At the end of the day, it really is numbers. This is about numbers. And while it may overwhelm you, while it may freak you out, it may cause you anxiety, if you want a retirement plan that's successful, the numbers have to work.
I think there's two things, Paul, to your point. One is the math can be intimidating. There's no question the math can be intimidating. I think that's your point. And I also think the math can be manipulated to drive a particular outcome that someone wants or to sell a product someone wants to sell you. The math can be very much skewed to make something look more attractive or less attractive. And really, Paul, it's not just the fear and the intimidation around the math and or trying to sell a product. It is often people don't know the right math to apply. That's what we're going to focus on today, the different numbers that you should be focusing on and why they're important and how it drives the correct outcomes. They are if you don't know the numbers you should be focused on and the math that people should be using to help you, then what comes from that? Fear, anxiety. If you don't understand how they're mitigating your risks to give you the ability to spend 7 or 8%, if you don't understand the math to give you 7, 8, 9% withdrawal rates, not growth rates, withdrawal rates, and the risk mitigation that makes you feel comfortable to have that 7, 8, 9% withdrawal rates, as a result, you will end up being afraid and you will do what the industry wants you to do. You'll live on the 3 or 4% rule. That 4% rule makes everyone feel warm and fuzzy, including the financial service industry, because it doesn't take much work and they make more money because you spend less money. So again, it's 8 hours. It's like a master's level course taught at major universities and colleges in your area. There's 2 evenings or 1 full Saturday, and we stream these classes live when we're in the university. So wherever you're listening to us around the country, you can participate in the class. All we ask is that for a $29 donation to charity to attend. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll return with Kirk and Paul. You're listening to the Retirement Education Hour. Happy you're with us here on the Retirement Education Hour. Have you ever listened to our show as a podcast? Well, you can do that if you want to go back into our library, check out any of the topics that we've tackled here, or maybe listen or share this very show with your neighbor, your friend, your spouse. You're welcome to do that. You can download wherever you find your favorite podcast. You do have to just search by the name of our show, which is, of course, the Retirement Education Hour. And I'm joined here in the studio with financial instructors Kirk Cassidy, Dr. Paul Metler. They both teach courses along with other instructors who are with the Retirement Education Foundation. And these are courses we've been telling you about. They are like master's level courses. So these are not for the faint of heart. This is where you go to really get the real deal, the full scoop on what it takes to plan for that successful retirement. Now, they are appropriately held at major colleges and universities, which is very convenient. And we're talking about the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, also on that list. You can attend at the University of Missouri and also Columbia College. So head over to the website. That is the hub for all things regarding these courses with the Retirement Education Foundation. Simply navigate to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. And when you're there, you're going to see those locations, the calendar of available dates. We want you to pick one that's right for you, and we'll see you at the course. You can also stream these from your home. All of them are streamed live from these course locations, and you can choose to attend the class that way. Very convenient. You can also call to register 800-240-8981. Talking to Kirk and Paul today about math, and they say math drives everything when it comes to retirement planning, and it certainly drives every single income decision that you make. You guys said something earlier in the show. You were talking about how important it is to get the math right. I was thinking about helping my own kids with their math problems. And, in those complex math problems, and if you've ever sat at the kitchen table with your kid with the math, you know what I'm talking about. Boy, you get one little piece of that wrong, even if the formula is correct. If a number is wrong, it blows the whole thing. And I would imagine the same is true with retirement planning.
Well, it is. Here's the deal. Look, let's not. We're not trying to create fear. There is a simple solution that everyone can follow, and we talked about this in our last show, Megan. It's that pass fail. If you want to pass fail retirement, that's how you want to measure your retirement. Pass meaning I don't outlive my money. Failing means I outlive my money because you're so intimidated by the numbers, the math, and or you don't trust the team you have that they are doing the right math. Just live on your 3 or 4% and you'll be fine. You're going to be fine. I mean, the chances of you outliving your money, as long as you have probability of success styles and you're following all the general rules and you listen to the general rules, if you take your 3 or 4% out, you won't fail. You'll be afraid. The older you get, the more scared you'll get about your money. Look, old people aren't cheap. They become scared because cognitively things begin to change in our 60s and it becomes more prevalent in our 70s. And then in our 80s, it's really prevalent. So here's the deal. We teach in our class, Paul, is that the plan drives everything. Everyone says, what should I do? When should I take Social Security? Should I Roth convert? Where should I take my money from? How much can I withdraw? When should I retire? Before retiring, how should I have my money invested? I'm 58 years old. What should I put my money in? In every answer, if you come to our class, we'll come back to your plan that someone has constructed for you that maps out 30 years with risk mitigation against a major market event every 4 to 6 years, with a death of a spouse, with all the traps. There's a ton of traps, a plan that's built to mitigate those risks, to optimize for income, minimize taxes. Will tell the answer to every single decision, especially like income. Everyone comes to our classes with questions. How much can I afford to take? When can I retire? What accounts do I take my money from? And the problem is general rules, conventional wisdom isn't going to work. They tell you not to spend your IRA money or your Roth money until you have to. That often is the wrong decision. They tell you to use an online calculator to figure out Social Security. That is always the wrong decision. They're not looking at the best net outcomes after tax, Paul. It's a math problem. The plan tells you what you should do, how you should invest, how much income, where, why.
Yeah, no, you said something in the first segment that I think you said quickly, and I just wanna just highlight for just a second.
Please.
You made a comment about manipulating numbers, and I wanted to say this. While it is 100% true, the math drives everything, it is the correct math that drives everything. And let me just say, it's pretty easy to manipulate the math to make it look really good. And just a simple example, we'll maybe talk about later. If I do a create a plan for you and I show that you're going to have an 8% growth rate,
Oh my gosh.
look, I could convince you you're going to die, you have no problem. But is that really the good math? So I think we have to be careful. There's a caveat. Yes, the math drives everything, especially around income, but let's make sure that the math is correct. It's not hyper inflated just to make you feel good
Yeah.
so that so you hire that advisor.
I love it because, advisors, I see people do this all the time. I would just caution people. We're as a charity, we know all the advisors that are on the radio and the TV locally. We know, don't fall for the annuity pitch. Those are annuity salespeople. Just don't fall for the annuity pitch. Okay. They can manipulate numbers and do things to make you feel a certain way. All right. I think that whole skewing performance number that you were just alluding is common, particularly around do-it-yourselfers, but even in our industry, because what they're going to say is you can only take 4% withdrawals, right? But look, when you die, you're going to have 10, 12, 15 million. Like, that's a win? No, show me how to spend more money while I'm alive. If anyone is using an 8% growth rate, I could tell you in our class, in our private practices, and all we deal with, we're a family office for high net worth families in our private office. We don't, in our private practice, we don't talk about it much, but I can tell you the largest growth rates we project in a retirement plan is 4.5 to 5%. That is the highest growth rate. If you're taking income from an account in the first 5 years, we're using 3 to 4% as projections. The like, don't fall for that. And you do it yourselfers are so easily convinced when you're 50 and you're 60, when you feel invincible, like you figured it out. Oh, of course, look at the market over the last 10, 20, 30 years. It's performing at 10%. There's something called sequence of returns risk. You are not going to get those returns once you retire and you start withdrawing from your accounts. That is a massive trap. You cannot use that math. But that doesn't mean you can't have 7, 8% withdrawal rates if you plan and risk mitigate properly. Attend one of the 8-hour classes. Just before you make decisions, just understand the math and what you should be looking for. All we ask is for a $29 donation to charity to attend our 8-hour classes that are taught at major universities and colleges over 2 evenings or one full Saturday. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And there's much more to come right here on the Retirement Education Hour. We're so glad you're here today. This is the Retirement Education Hour. I'm Megan Mozak. I'm here with Kirk Cassidy and Dr. Paul Metler. They're both with, again, the Retirement Education Foundation. We've been telling you about the foundation. Of course, it is a charity. And when you sign up for these courses, there is a charitable donation we want you to make. And you are then going to be in for just a fire hose of information. And it's so necessary in this day and age to have the full scope of everything you need to be able to retire successfully. This isn't just a handout. This isn't just a quick hour-long course. We want to go deep here so that you walk away understanding everything it's going to take to have that successful retirement you've worked so hard for. That's really what it's all about. The instructors are there. It might even be Kirk and Paul when you show up, and you can meet them. And we do talk about all of these types of really important details each and every week here on the show. And those then are completely, fully fleshed out at the course. You can attend in person at these locations. Again, it's like a master's level course held at colleges and universities near you, or you can stream it online. It's taught at the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, both campuses, Novi and Troy, Oakland University, University of Missouri, and Columbia College. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org, or you can pick up your phone right now and call 800-240-8981. As you can imagine, the courses fill up so quickly. So make sure you find the date time that you want and then reach out to get it reserved. 800-240-8981. All right, who knew math was so important? Well, we're talking about that today. Kirk and Paul, they knew. In fact, they say that math really drives everything. We were talking about income just a little earlier, and math, they say, drives all of the income decisions that you make. Want to flip it now to investments, because we know that investing can play a big role in your retirement planning. So how does math figure in to this equation when we're thinking about the investment side of things, Kirk and Paul?
Megan, it's literally everything, right? I mean, in our class, I mean, we've taught tens of thousands of people now. And consistently, we get the same questions around investing. What should I invest in? So here's the deal. There was a quote. Warren Buffett had a great quote that I use often. You have to be insane to risk what you have for something you don't need. In other words, if you have what you need to give you what you want, you win. You've won, right? What is the goal of investing and saving? The goal for investing and saving for most people is retirement and the best retirement possible. Now, legacy is a different discussion. If legacy is a priority, there's still ways to accomplish that and still create maximum income for yourself. But the plan, when we talk about the plan, we've sort of reshaped this today. We always say the plan drives everything. And I think didn't want people to think they had a plan and that plan is driving everything, because come to the class, you'll realize you don't have a plan. The dial, a probability of success, spreadsheets, that is not a plan. The plan drives everything. And a plan is 30 years of mapped out income, tax planning for 30 years to maximize income, reduce taxes as much as possible, and mitigate all the risks and all the traps that will occur through a 30-year retirement. And there are a lot. Like, this is all our charity does. We've been studying this for years. Paul Hell went to school for the behavioral aspects that will play a factor in your finances. This is why he's involved in the charity. So what you should invest in prior to retirement is based upon, what do I need to give me what I want? And if you've already won the marathon, then you have to look at things as a risk reward. How much more income per year will I gain to take this much risk if I have already won? So am I willing to compromise my retirement by 30% if we are in a 60-40 portfolio and have a 2008 event? Am I willing to compromise my retirement by 30%? My $2 million turns into $1.4 million so that I can have one extra year of good returns in my 60-40 portfolio because you have no pivot accounts, no safety nets. Do you understand? People need to understand at $150,000 a year, if you're 65 years old and you want $150,000 a year, to increase that to $160,000 a year, just $10,000 more a year of income, you need to have $400,000 to $500,000 more the day you retire. The risk reward might not be there. So the plan drives everything in terms of what you invest in. Now, I'll give it to you in a minute, Paul. The next point is, when am I spending money? When I'm spending those dollars will determine how aggressively or how conservatively I invest. Everything in asset allocation, investing is driven by, when am I spending those dollars? What do I need to give me what I want? And when am I spending those dollars? Everything. Because there's this thing called sequence of returns risk, Paul, which means when I'm taking withdrawals out of my accounts and we have a market correction, it compounds the losses. Do the math. Come to the class. Go to the charity's website. We show this a million ways. That compounding effect of a loss and being forced to take distributions, it destroys your retirement. So you have to have your portfolio allocated based upon when those dollars are being spent. If I'm not spending it for a while, I can be very aggressive in those dollars. The plan drives what you're investing in, everything.
Yeah, I love the quote by Warren Buffett. I think it's such a great quote. But you didn't finish. I don't think you finished it, because the other part of that is, if you've already won the race, why are you rerunning it, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you already won it. But, I want to clarify something you said earlier, which is, when we in our private practice, when we plan, we never assume growth rates more than 4.5%, 5%. And I think I want you to take a minute, if we have it, and clarify, what do you mean by that? Because the difference between planning for the worst and what ultimately most likely you're going to get, there's a difference. So can you clarify that?
Yeah. So, because I confuse people, I know. What allows you to have 6, 7, 8, 9% withdrawal rates, meaning how much money I can take out of my investments. That number is different than a projected growth rate of those investments. It's okay to have a controlled spend down of your principal. It is okay. And so when you are planning for retirement and there is no do-over, you want to be ultra conservative, especially when you are going to be forced to take withdrawals because of RMDs, income to live on. You're going to be forced to take money out, and you don't always have control of what markets are doing.
Ultimately conservative in the planning process.
In the planning.
Yes.
Not in how we invest.
Yes.
I mean, we're an indexer at heart. I mean, anything you're not touching, dollars you don't touch for 10 years are going to be 100% equities. It's those dollars early that we have to be conservative with. But we want to be, how we project that's how the numbers can be manipulated, right? This is why you need to come to a class so you're not manipulated, you're not taken advantage of, and you find the right teams to give you the plan so that the plan can tell you what you should be doing, not someone's feelings or opinions or salespeople. Okay? So all we ask is for a $29 donation to charity. If you'd like to register for one of our 8-hour classes, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll continue. There's plenty more Retirement Education Hour coming up right after this. And we're back, and we're glad you're with us. Of course, you're listening to the Retirement Education Hour. Each and every week, we talk about retirement planning concepts so that you can walk away more educated, more confident about your retirement future. And there's a lot to think about, a lot of moving parts. A modern retirement is not as simple as your grandfather's retirement. So, to that end, the Retirement Education Foundation makes it its mission to make sure you feel as confident, as educated as possible on all of the different areas that encompass retirement planning. And we do want to make sure that you've got all the details and that you're registered for the foundation's courses. These are like master's level courses on retirement planning, and they're held near you at major colleges and universities, including the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. So don't wait. Go to the website right now before these courses fill up. We want to see you there. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. Here it is again, retirementplanningedu.org. Or you can call to register, 800-240-8981. That's 800-240-8981. We're talking about math today. Why math? Well, because it drives everything when it comes to retirement planning. That's what Kirk and Paul are telling us. We've discussed income. We've discussed investments. Math plays a huge role. I want to talk about another area of retirement planning that, sometimes gets a little bit overlooked just in terms of how much impact it could have over the course of your life. Social Security decisions. You say math drives this as well. How so?
This is Social Security is one that is really tough. It's tough for the consumer. Those people approaching retirement, there's a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety associated with their finances, associated with political uh, parties. There's a lot of people tugging at people's emotions when it comes to healthcare and Social Security. And here's what we know. The Social Security Administration says that over 90% of people, yeah, I think it's 92% of people, make the wrong decision with Social Security, costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, we know the math is more significant. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars because people are doing the wrong math. This, again, has nothing to do with feelings, your advisor's feelings. This is simply a math problem. To be able to make this a purely math problem, we have to find a way to take the emotions out of it. We got to try to create some logic and less fear around this very powerful tool for the Democrats and the Republicans to raise money and trigger people, which impacts you to make these poor decisions, right? So, look, bottom line, almost 40% of baby boomers have nothing but Social Security. Social Security isn't going to be taken away from you guys. You guys got to stop with thinking that way. If you think Social Security is going to be taken away, you can't ever retire, because it's, for most of our listeners, most of you people that plan to live on $100,000 or more in retirement per year, you're talking millions of dollars you have to replace. You just won't be able to retire, and you're going to spend very little. And when you realize nothing happens to your Social Security, you're going to leave millions and millions of dollars to your kids, and you'll have worked a lot longer than you needed to. And all these bad outcomes. Even if we take the Social Security Administration at its word and they don't do anything to fix it, by 2090, there's still 70% of the obligation they're able to meet. They're still going to meet 70% of the obligation. So let's take that off the table, Paul. Let's get to the math. Again, the only way to know when and how you should take your Social Security is someone's built you a 30-year plan, including figuring out all the different risk mitigation things, a spouse dying early, What happens when a spouse dies from a tax perspective, the tax bomb of a spouse dying. Um, we have to consider different asset allocation, risk mitigation. In our class, we teach it as a massive lever that we can pull if early in your retirement there's a major market event, that you can start Social Security early and stop taking money out of the market to eliminate sequence of returns risk. If this stuff doesn't make sense to you, what I'm saying, good. I'm glad. That means you should come to our 8-hour class. The online calculator is showing you a gross benefit only looking at Social Security. That's BS. That's garbage. Social Security will drive the taxation on your required minimum distributions. It'll impact taxation on dividends. It'll impact taxation on capital gains. It'll impact taxation on the surviving spouse. Not any two people. There is no rule. Everyone's plan will be unique to determine when you should be taking Social Security. And I know that's not what people want to hear, but that's a fact. The plan needs to drive. The math drives it.
Yeah, this is one topic. If there's any topic that pulls on people's emotional strings, it's Social Security, right? It really, for some reason, people could be so irrational around this subject. I mean, I'm going to take it at 62. It doesn't matter if I'm going to get 40% penalty. The government's not going to take my money. I earned it, right? There's just a lot of emotion and anxiety and fear and your opinions about government and your opinions about taxes and all of that people often make really bad decisions. I'm really glad you brought up the calculator. I hear that so often. Well, the break even is
no, it's not.
Right. It's ridiculous, but that's all people talk about. That's you go to a tax class, and they feed you dinner. That's all they talk about is a break even point, right? It's so much more than that.
When you go to the charity's website, we actually have how to calculate. I think it's how to calculate taxes on Social Security, or our sample plan. In our class, we spend quite a bit of time on this. In our class, we show an example. We actually have someone taking Social Security at 65 years old in our class. It's 65 for them, and because they took it at 65, it saved them over $400,000 in taxes over their lifetime. It impacted their entire lifetime. $400,000 just in taxes by taking it at 65. We take another couple at 68, it saves them $300,000. Like, the math is different for everybody, and it's not an online calculator, despite that's what the financial service industry wants you to do. That's all your advisors are doing. By the way, that's all the Brzezinskis, and that's all the Golden Reserves, and all the nonsense insurance peddlers are doing is they're using the same calculators that you can get online to tell you the break evens just looking at Social Security. It's not just Social Security. There's taxations on everything. It's really a tax problem and especially for a married couple. It's a massive tax trap when the first spouse dies. And Roth conversions can play a factor on when and how you should be taking Social Security. I think in our 65-year-old example, taking Social Security earlier, we were doing some Roth converting, being able to pull in that Social Security almost tax-free. We are taking money out of 401ks and IRAs, showing in the class, come to the class, paying no taxes on IRA distributions because of how and when we took Social Security. So attend one of our 8-hour classes and you will learn how to not be manipulated and sold things. All we ask, 8 hours and a $29 donation to charity. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And our program will continue right after this. You're listening to the Retirement Education Hour. We're glad you're with us. This is the Retirement Education Hour here in the studio with financial instructors Kirk Cassidy and Dr. Paul Metler, both with the Retirement Education Foundation. And this charity, it makes it its mission to make sure you are educated about retirement planning. And that's because there are so many moving parts right now to retirement planning, and it is so easy to overlook one, maybe two, and that's enough to really put your future in jeopardy. And so the foundation wants to make sure that doesn't happen. To that end, they have courses. These are like master's level courses on retirement. They've got them held all over our communities here at major colleges and universities. So easy and convenient for you to find a date, a location, a time, and to attend. So we want to see you there. Go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org. The courses are held at the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. You can also call to get registered, 800-240-8981. That's 800-240-8981. We're talking about math today. Why? Well, because according to Kirk and Paul, math, it drives everything with your retirement planning. You've got to get the math right. You've got to get the numbers right as you're doing the math. We've talked about how it affects your income decisions, your investment decisions, how and when you take Social Security. I want to find out about those of us out there who are lucky enough to have a pension. How does it come into play with those pension decisions?
Again, I will say it again. The plan drives everything. Someone's got to have a 30-year plan that has literally iterated hundreds and hundreds of scenarios manually. It's not AI yet. It doesn't exist. Trust me, because we're working on it. It doesn't exist. It is a math problem. Pension versus lump sum versus pension with survivor benefits. It's all a math problem. And you guys are just looking at returns, life expectancies, and that isn't the math. That's not even close to the math. Again, this is a massive, massive tax problem. It's a tax problem, and understanding also what happens when a spouse dies from a tax perspective, from a Medicare IRMA perspective, from an income perspective. Those of you who think you've done math and only had the choice of taking a pension, there was no lump sum option, and you chose to take a lesser benefit, a 50% survivor, most often than not, you have done the wrong math and you made the wrong decision. The whole concept of, I wonder if people realize, men die first. In married couples, 80% of women will die impoverished because the man who's taking care of the finances in the baby boomer generation typically assume that they need less income. They don't understand most of the people with pensions, they're going to see their tax bracket for the surviving spouse actually jump, not one bracket, two brackets, often from 22 to 32, sometimes up to the 35% bracket, because I go from married filing joint to single. It's a tax time bomb that happens. So again, your surviving spouse isn't going to need less income. They're already going to lose the lesser of the two Social Securities. That's where Social Security comes into play, that math problem. But there's the question around lump sum versus pension. It's an interesting one. It's a complicated one. The charity actually has a full webinar on this, a full webinar, 30-minute webinar, and we break it down in the class. For Ford and GM, just you come to the class. It's 100% of the time you should be taking the lump sum. Now, you need to reinsure some of that money. What we find is you need to reinsure somewhere between 30, 40, maybe 50% of that money. But you are 100% of the time taking a lump sum. And for most of you Ford and GM engineers with that lump sum pension decision, the difference between taking the lump sum versus a pension is often over $1 million between taxes and income. Some of that's around Roth conversions, Paul, right?
Yeah, actually, I was sitting here thinking, okay, you're going to get there, yeah, because that's really important. And we don't have the time to get into it, but one of the huge benefits of taking that lump sum is you could actually grow your lump sum pension and also do significant tax planning and Roth converting without paying significant taxes, right? The problem sometimes people struggle with is if you take the pension, all that's taxable. And if you take that pension immediately,
you have to take the income now.
That's right. And it prevents or precludes sometimes to do a lot of tax planning.
Yes.
Sometimes the benefit of lump sum is you could take that lump sum, do your some tax planning, and ultimately build your own pension greater down the road. It's complicated. Again, we talk a lot about in the class, but there's a huge tie between lump sum and tax planning that I think for many would really benefit.
Yeah, if you have that decision coming up, go to the charity's website and watch the webinar. And I swear, I don't know what I have to do to get you guys to come to this 8-hour master's level course in universities that we've been doing for over a decade and taught tens of thousands of people. We give a guarantee. The charity guarantees if you attend our 8-hour class, that we don't change your retirement literally significantly from the information and education we provide you. In other words, we help you from being manipulated and sold and taken advantage of. Often the result is you retiring a lot earlier, paying a lot less money in taxes, and having a lot less anxiety in retirement. If we don't change your outcome of your retirement after this 8-hour class, we'll make I'll make a $2,000 donation to whatever charity you want. The charity will make a donation to wherever you want us to send it. That is how we just beg you. If you have this decision, lump sum versus pension, and I know a lot of you do right now, we have in our private practice taken care of hundreds and hundreds of executives and engineers from the automotive industry. And we have had thousands of you people come through our charities courses. You need to be taking the lump sum, and you're likely going to see a slight decrease in your lump sum. You're probably, if you're close, if you have what you need to give you what you want, it is time to hang it up and retire. That lump sum is going to likely decrease a little bit, and we'll know here in the next week or two when they post the August rates. We'll know if that lump sum's going down or not. We think it's going to go down 1 to 4%. We'll see. You got to attend our classes. You just got to. It's going to change your retirement. The plan needs to drive every decision that you're making, your advisors are making, their opinions, your fears. That's how you get manipulated. That's how you underspend. You work longer, underspend. You can retire earlier. You can have 6, 7, 8, 9% withdrawal rates. As long as you understand where the risk mitigation falls into your plan and you understand the math, then the fear and anxiety goes away and you can enjoy your retirement. Attend one of these 8-hour classes. We teach them 2 evenings or 1 full Saturday at most colleges and universities in your area. And if we don't have one in your area, we stream the classes live from the universities so you can participate in the class while we're teaching the class live. All we ask is for a $29 donation to charity. If you'd like to register, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.
And we'll be back with Kirk and Paul right after this. And we're back. Glad you've been with us here on the Retirement Education Hour. Megan Mozak here with financial instructors Kirk Cassidy, Dr. Paul Metler. They're with the Retirement Education Foundation. In fact, you might even meet them if you attend the foundation's courses on retirement planning, and we'd love to see you there. They are held at major colleges and universities near you, including the University of Michigan, Eastern Michigan University, Michigan State University, Novi and Troy campuses, Oakland University, the University of Missouri, and Columbia College. So reach out now. You can go to the website, retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org, or call 800-240-8981. We've brought it all back to math today because, as Kirk and Paul say, when it comes to your retirement plan, math drives everything. You got to get the math right. You got to get the numbers right. And you have to be cognizant of both of those things as you start to plan your retirement. Now, Kirk and Paul, I do want to talk about the plan, right? You say the plan drives everything, and the plan is really math.
It is. It's math. And for those engineers out there, imagine this. So what we teach in the class is we take all your data points, like if you have a pension, if you have to make a pension or lump sum decision, your Social Security, your non-IRA assets, your IRA and 401k assets, your Roth assets, the age of the spouses, the life expectancy of the spouses. We take all of the variables, all the numbers, all the data points, and then we just project out. If we just did the conventional wisdom of 4% withdrawal rates, just taking 4% out, and then consider the math of what the RMDs will look like when they're forced to start taking RMDs. And then we do the tax projections for 30 years. And then you engineers, you'll appreciate this. Then what we do is we model every possible scenario. If I took Social Security at 62 and I Roth converted 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60,000. If I took the lump sum versus the pension. If I took Social Security at 63, if my spouse took it at 67, I took it at 63, and I Roth converted 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000. Every year, every age, every math problem, iterating hundreds of times to find the most efficient path. If one spouse dies at 70, if one spouse dies at 73, if one spouse dies at 75, if we have a major market event, on average, every 3 to 6 years, we don't know when they're going to happen, but having a pivot account to pivot to so that we can maximize our income. This is how we teach you that you can have 6, 7, 8, 9%, because we've iterated this hundreds of times, and we'll teach you this in the class, hundreds of iterations to find the most tax efficient path with the least amount of risk. And when we have major market events, what do we pivot to mitigate those risks? See, after you see this and you see 30 years that have been iterated hundreds of times, these plans should take a competent, sophisticated CFPs, CPAs, attorneys, wealth managers. It should take them 50 plus hours to construct these plans. The problem is none of you are getting those. That is not what Golden, Burrs, the other people on TV and radio are providing you. See, we're a national charity trying to protect you from the financial service industry, protect you from being sold and manipulated things, and teach you actually the math. Most people do not come away from this class being able to do this themselves. What they come away from this class knowing is if someone is doing this for them, they know the right questions to ask. Mr. and Mrs. Financial Advisor, what happens if I have a major market event 3 years after I retire? Where are you taking your income from? You'll know the answer where they should be pivoting to take that income. If they don't have an answer, Mr. or Mrs. Advisor, when I'm forced to take my required minimum distributions and we have a major market event, where are we pivoting to take that income from? Mr. and Mrs. Advisor, if we do no Roth converting, how much total taxes am I paying? How much total taxes am I paying if I do $10,000, $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year for 5 years? You'll know the right questions to ask and not be manipulated, taken advantage of. The annuity thing, Paul, I'll let you go here in a second. The annuity thing is a whole different discussion. Look, variable annuities, run and hide. I'm saying it as a national charity. The regulators don't like I say this. Come to the class. We'll teach you why none of you want to own a variable annuity. We'll also teach you how 96% of people who buy any annuities, even fixed annuities, lose to the insurance companies. Now, we don't tell you shouldn't own annuities. We'll tell you that if you own an annuity, the only purpose to own an annuity is I need income. I'm going to use it for income for sure. Not maybe, not a safety net, not a Swiss Army knife, not a risk mitigation. I am going to use this for income. And if you don't, you lose. That's first. Second, with annuities, if you're going to buy one, you better know when you're going to be using that annuity. And you don't have any clue. There are hundreds of annuities, and 96% of you are going to lose. We'll teach you the math in the class to know if you're winning or losing. Is someone driving the decision on what product you should own based upon your plan or based upon where someone is getting an incentive to go on vacation because they sold a bunch of annuities, right? So that is the purpose of a plan and the purpose of our charity and our class.
Yeah, every time we do a show, the last segment's about planning, right? It's almost always, right? And every time we do it, I sit back and have the same thought, which is people are listening, and I would bet if we could do a survey right now, 95% of the people who are listening saying, I got this. I have a plan. Why do I need to go to this class? One of the things I really like about the class, I really appreciate, is part of what the class does shows what, not all plans are created equal. And one thing I really like about the class, it shows what a good plan is and what a bad plan is. It helps people understand the difference between a good plan and a bad. And I would say this, if you don't have a team of people who are building your plan, including lawyers, CPAs, CFPs, go on and on. If you don't have a team of people doing it, if you have, a person, an advisor who puts something into a software and they're handing it to you, it's almost, that can't be a full comprehensive plan because no one person can know everything.
With the next 10 callers gets a free roadmap to retirement.
That's not a plan. That's not a plan. So, that's one of the things I really love about the class. And if one thing comes out, I think that's a huge benefit.
Paul, here's the deal we'll make. I've never done this before. If you think you have a plan, sincerely, come to our class. And after the class, show me your plan. And by the way, if you have a real plan, if you really have a plan, I'll make a $5,000 donation to whatever charity you want. I challenge all of you to bring
I
your
heard
plans.
it. I heard it.
Come, bring them, and you're going to be blown away. All we ask is for a $29 donation to charity. If you'd like to attend one of these 8-hour master level courses taught at major universities and colleges, go to retirementplanningedu.org. That's retirementplanningedu.org.